This is fantastic. All possible realities and responds to responds to my thoughts, feelings, and beliefs. Well done.
I believe I'm amazing.
That's the first step.
I am part of a vast invisible field of energy which contains all possible realities and responds to my thoughts, feelings, and beliefs. Dr. Dawkins, in a book called Power versus Force, identified that the quantum field that we're walking around in all of the time, we have the ability to change. Not only do we have the ability, we're all changing it all the time. It's just that most of us aren't doing it consciously. We're doing it subconsciously. I remember several years ago, I was next door neighbors with at my work with a young man named Randy Black. And Randy comes in one day, I don't know, he must have been 19 or so. Randy comes in one day and he says, I'm gonna change the world. Sometimes things come out of my mouth and it just popped out of my mouth. And I said, yeah, we're all gonna do that. How are you gonna do it? That happens with every single one of us. We're all going to have an effect. What is the specific effect that you are going to have? So, it's true with each one of us. The more conscious we are and the more attentive to our energy we are, then the more ability we have to positively affect the fields around us. We'll be coming more to that in just a moment. Number 2, atoms are, so we're going to be talking about the subatomic fields in just a moment. Atoms are 0.00001% matter, and that means that they are, say it with me, 99.99999% energy. And that's why your energy really matters. Yay! Which is the tagline of energy evolution. Your energy really matters. I mean, if your energy is 99.99999, it actually goes out to 12 places percent of what's going on, then that's the reality, right? That's the most important thing, even though we can't see it. Can anybody see the electricity that turned the lights on today? Nope. Does that keep it from turning the lights on just because we can't see it? No, it's still there. It's working strongly. We rely upon it. We use it every day. We're very grateful for it. I sure as heck am, because I live in Florida and I really appreciate aircon. Oh, I know why that was weird for me. That's what they call air conditioning in Ibiza, but there's a movie by that name. It's like a 90s Con Air. Yeah. But I was like, I don't feel like we're just talking about air conditioning here. Okay. Yes, so atoms are 0.0001% matter and
99.99999% energy.
That's right. Good. And that's why your energy really matters. So let's dissect this. When we look at an atom, there's the bit in the middle. What's it called?
Nucleus.
The nucleus. And of the electrons, protons, and neutrons, which ones live in the nucleus, in the little home in the center of the atom? Protons and neutrons. Good. And that means that what's spinning around the protons and neutrons? Electrons. Yes. And what is the charge of an electron? Negative. And if protons and neutrons are in the nucleus, then what's the charge of the nucleus? Positive. So we have a little bit of attraction going on here. And in fact, it's that very attraction which holds these molecules, these atoms, which then create molecules together. Without that attraction, we would be nothing. We would really literally be nothing. So when we talk about the amount of matter in an atom, what we're talking about is we're talking about the mass of the protons and the neutrons and the electrons relative to the size of the atom. And what we're saying is that the mass of the protons and the neutrons are 0.00001%. And all of the rest of it is taken up by space, which is a charge between the positive and negative, so that's why we call it energy. You got it? Can you say it back to me?
No.
The negative and the positive charges are then causing this energy field that are creating.
No, you pretty much got it. Yeah, it's the charge between the two that is making up what that atom really is. So most of it is invisible, even with the most powerful microscope in the world. Okay, number 3. Our material bodies and the body of the universe both flicker in and out of existence. Anybody know this one? At the speed of light. So if these atoms are mostly energy, and we're all made up of these things, of these atoms, then why can't I walk through this glass, this painted glass right here? Well, I can if I try hard enough. But not without breaking some bonds, including my own. And it's because those are were you going to say something? Were you going to say something?
No, but I was just thinking about the Starship Enterprise, and they can do it.
It's true.
We just haven't figured out the technique yet.
We just haven't gotten there yet. I think it started in 2020, right? We're almost there. Huh?
Well, isn't it because you're not going fast enough? If you're going at the speed of light,
Then we're going to be at the same speeds, and so then I can sift and sort through, which presumably is part of the science behind teleportation, which we have actually done. We've just only done it at, is that me?
Yeah, going at the speed of light.
Oh, sweet.
But then you won't see her.
Sometimes it seems like she does.
Teleportation, which we have actually done, we've just only done it on the atomic scale. We haven't done it with humans or animals yet, or at least nothing that's been published. I don't know what they're doing over there.
Area 51.
They're what?
Area 51.
Number 4. Every almost. You want to say every action has an equal and opposite reaction, which is Newton's 3rd law of physics, but we're in quantum physics here, so now we're on a different plane, people. Every
Thought.
So I'll tell the story first, which is that in the journal Nature in 1996, there's a study published that has 2 people in rooms right next to each other. In one of the rooms, and they're both hooked up to electrodes, and these are soundproof rooms, and there's no window between, there's no way they can see each other, and neither one of them know that there's another person in a room close to them. And person A starts watching a movie, which is like really intense, and his brain waves are tracked. Guess what happens to the brain waves of person B? They start matching. This means that your energy field affects the people around you, even if you aren't speaking to them, even if you aren't visibly in range of them. They're gonna feel your energy no matter what. So the reason that it's so important that we constantly learn how to play with our energy and make it even better, it's kind of like having your own home that you get to remodel and redecorate all the time, all on your own, with an infinite number of amazingly beautiful things that you could put in your home, and it's totally yours and free to do. We can do this all the time, and the reason that's important is because our energy constantly affects the people around us. Did you need me to repeat that one? Okay, so yeah.
Is it the energy from the person or from the show or from the room or all of it? Because can the room pick up the energy since it's...
I love Brenda. Okay, good.
So it can get bigger than that. But you focus on yourself and then push that out?
All right, so let's talk about this. I don't usually talk about this in these classes, but since it was brought up, there's all sorts of things that can happen. Can there be an energy imprint that's left in a room?
Yes.
Even when the people leave? There can even be energy imprints that are so powerful that they're a door that's left open or a portal that's left open that things can come in through. And it's important to clear that. It's important to make sure that that's being tidied up.
Shut the door.
Shut the door. So not only can people's energy affect us, or the energy of certain pieces of furniture or cars, memories that are attached to them, but even, you know, the energy that's just in the space. Can we do something about that?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And that's what we teach in the Clearing Negative Energy class. So if a house is, if your beautiful dream house, your $5 million mansion is gifted to you, and the drawback is that it's haunted, is it possible to do something about that?
Yep.
Yeah? You're gonna give up your beautiful $5 million dream house just because there's some little piece of energy flicking around it? No! Or you're
I
gonna.
grew up in a haunted house, I'm good.
Did you really? Wow! Were they friendly ghosts?
Yeah, but you could hear them walking around and slamming doors upstairs, and no one else would be in the house, and you'll be by yourself.
There's a thing going on. And it didn't scare you.
No.
It was like,
Yeah, because it was a normal thing, because we grew up there.
very interesting, very cool. Yes, so thank you, Brenda. All of that is true. Any other questions or comments?
So moonlight is a Ghostbuster?
That'd be kind of cool.
It is highly advisable not to do that when there is moonlight out. It is something we only want to do during sunlight times. I have done this during moonlight. It is much more difficult and not advisable. We will just say not advisable. There are emergency situations, and I've been in those, but not advisable. Okay, anything else?
So what's the answer for number 4?
The answer for number 4 is every observer affects the experiment. Every observer affects the experiment. So whether it's a person sitting next to you, have you ever been around somebody that was like really critical? And you had to tell them something and they hadn't even said anything to you, and you're just like, oh, this isn't good enough. It's just gonna find fault with all of this. She's gonna get mad at me for telling her this. And then you go in there and you like give the person the information, and it's like she doesn't say anything. And even if she doesn't say anything, you can just like feel it, like your tummy's upset, and it's like, and then she might say something like, this was due last night by 5 o'clock. Like everything else is perfect, it's 8 o'clock, you know, like there's no real substantive possible, you know, like, but the only thing that she has to say is something that's critical and harsh. Have you ever like had those kinds of experiences? She's not really even saying anything, and the little that she does say is simply a fact. It can be said with, there's 100 different ways that you can say that, right? Like you could say, okay, so this was supposed to be here at this time. Do you have time to run over and give this to them now? Because, you know, we said we would have this to them. There's a bunch of different ways to solve any kind of problem. If there's a problem, it's a blame is a frequency, criticism, judgment is a frequency that's very limiting, and it's very harsh, and it like shuts down the creative thinking, which comes from the prefrontal cortex of the brain. Okay, number 5. Every human being, along with every material thing in the universe, broadcasts its own unique frequency. Excellent.
So what?
Its own unique frequency. Its own unique frequency. If we're all emitting energy, then we have specific energy fields that we emit, and they are like the chair, the table, those are going to be specific energy frequencies. Bacteria have certain energy frequencies, parasites. This is why a Rife machine is so powerful, and the Rife frequencies are just a very, very, very small part of what's built into the entire SRC component, which is why SRC is so powerful, is because it works on changing energy frequencies. For those of you who were in the transmutation class earlier this year, then that's what you were learning, is you were learning how to change an energy frequency. Okay, number 6 is, did everybody get number 5? Every human being, along with every material thing in the universe, broadcasts.
Some unique frequency.
Great. Number 6, once 2 particles can be linked in some way, they will.
Always be linked.
Yes. So now we're going to go to, they will always be linked. So now we're going to go to subatomic particles. If we break down one of those protons or electrons, if we break them down, then what we're going to find is we're going to find that we actually have 2 little quarks spinning in opposition of one another. And as they're spinning, it's like, opposites attract, right? So they're spinning in concert with one another. As we take them farther apart, interestingly, you would think that they'd like go off on their own way and do their own thing, but in fact, they continue to spin in that exact same harmonious opposition from one another, even when you get them as far away as a foot apart, a mile apart, a city apart, and most recently this experiment was conducted between the Earth and the Moon. Those 2 particles continue to spin in opposition with one another. So quite literally, what we do unto others, we do unto ourselves. So that's the next blank that you have. What we do unto others, we do unto ourselves. This is the quantum physics explanation of the golden rule. So what we do to one of us affects all of us. Your glasses are on your head.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, go squinting. I haven't had breakfast, so I'm like.
You can.
Well, I had a keto cup and 2 guac cups, and then that's breakfast for now.
Yep. Triathlon training, it burns a lot more calories, and there's all sorts of science and logistics you got to figure out how to get that stuff into you. Okay, so what we do unto others, we do unto ourselves, and this is the golden rule. And we'll be taking a break in about 5 minutes, by the way. Go ahead. This is the golden rule. Does anybody know what the platinum rule is? Yes. Yes.
They would have done unto them.
As they would have done unto them. Yep. So if I am if I am a steadfast vegan, and I am going over to Brenda's house for dinner, and she makes me the most delicious pot roast, because this is her favorite meal on the planet, and she wants to share it with me. Well, it might not be the nicest gift for me. It might be her lovely thing that she wants to share, but it might not be my favorite thing. I might choose to eat it in order to graciously accept, or I might choose to not, whatever, wherever I stand on those things at the time. But that would be kind of an example of the golden rule. The platinum rule would be if Brenda made me a delicious vegan lasagna. And let me tell you, when I was vegan, I was so grateful when anybody would make me and the kind of food that I could eat. I remain to this day very grateful for this. My father's wife is a world-renowned chef. This is not just because we love her very much, it is also because she really is. And the part of the reason that her food is so good is because she cooks it all with love. She can make the simplest dish with just a couple of ingredients, but she has so much love that you can taste it in her food. And one of the ways that love plays out is that she has a passion for cooking anybody's dietary constraints. So whether you're vegan or raw or paleo or macro, she's got a thing. She knows what to make. One of my father's favorite recipes or favorite dessert that he likes to have every year for his birthday is, what is it?
It's her.
Not hers, but just what is your?
I'm trying to think. It's a cheesecake.
It's cheesecake, right? I've never really liked cheesecake. No offense, but it's just a thing. And then, it's got some stuff in it that I'm not really wholly in accordance with. And this lady made this beautiful almond flour cheesecake thing that's delicious and doesn't mess up blood sugar and is this is a great gift that not only does my dad get cheesecake for his birthday, but I get to enjoy it and appreciate with him, which is really, really sweet, right? So made with love
Does she have a cookbook?
We're working on it.
She's writing one.
All right.
But she's also, you know, she's one of these chefs that's like, ah, she's Jamaican, so it's like, oh, no, you just put a bit of this here and do this little bit.
You
It's
only
like,
have to add the love.
yeah. I hope so. Okay, and then number 7, the intelligence which keeps our heart beating is in the brain, which is made up of our nervous system, which are made up of atoms, which are mostly
Energy.
energy. Yes, 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 yes. Mostly energy. So if everything has its own different resonant frequency, whether it's a wall or a door or a human, do you think our emotions have different frequencies?
Yep.
Yes. And what would you imagine a low frequency emotion might be?
Anger.
Anger, depression, hate, frustration, yeah, all of the low vibration things. What would you imagine the higher vibration ones would be?
Love.
What else?
Happiness.
Happiness,
Excitement.
exactly. Specifically, joy and love and peace are the highest resonant frequencies.
Joy, love, and what?
Peace,
She?
peace.
Peace.
In that order?
I'll have to look. I know it's
I think
it's
is the
love
highest.
and then joy and then I think peace is the highest one. And so what happens when we take a high vibrational thing and we put a low vibrational on it? There is a technique that is used to clean metal off of the part once it's made. And what you do is you take this part and you put it on a platform that vibrates at a high frequency, right? It goes. This is done because when you go to try to clean off metal, there's these little metal shavings and filings, and it's very, you're not going to do that with a sponge. You're going to have to kind of scrape it, and it's already been made to specifications. But if you put it on this vibrating platform, then it just vibrates it off. So, what do you suppose happens when a high frequency comes in contact with a low frequency?
Cleanses it.
Yeah, the high frequency is like anything around it just kind of like clears out. So that's part of what you hear when you hear the belching that happens with me. Whenever I put my hands on an area of stagnation, then the vibrational frequency that I've attuned my body to is helping to clear out whatever it is that we're looking at right there. So if love is a high vibrational frequency, then love changes everything. Okay, good. I have no watch today. What time is it?
11:02.
11:02. Please look at your neighbor and say
10:03.
10:03. What
10:03.
time zone are you in?
Oh. Apparently I'm in the Atlantic time zone.
Is it 10:03?
Yeah.
Okay. Please look at your neighbor and say, I will be back in this room at 10:08.
10:08. 5 minutes.
Bathrooms are down the hall to the left. There's a restaurant, coffee shop over here to the right. So please help yourself, and then I'll see you back shortly.
I'll break out my indulgence for
You want to turn this off?
green tea lemonade.
Yes.
Yes,
Stop.
thank you.